Good afternoon, Shaggy SoCal 2Old4Forza, and surprise! I have a new toy. Um, and so picked up this kind of on. Oh, let's tap that. Oh, that'll be fine. Okay. So yeah, I picked up ever since I got the wheel. I've been contemplating, uh, dabbling with a webcam for these track guides, mainly because um, it's not because I look overly handsome and pleasing to the eye. But it's mainly about what I'm doing with the wheel. When you're watching, before I'm on controller, it doesn't matter, you're going to hear the stick click and like that. That's controller. But with the wheel, I want you to be able to see as I'm driving how much steering I'm putting in any given corner on the track or like that. I mean, in the game, you can see how much brake and throttle I'm using as I'm running around the track, but you really can't see the steering. And I find the telemetry when I bring that up is a little too intrusive as far as what I can see because it blocks so much of like looking into the corners and like that. So this is something new. We'll give this a shot. We'll try this setup for now, and as I may move the camera around here or there. Again, this is just kind of the first experiment. I mean, the webcams are relatively inexpensive now. So, and just so you know, it is a Logitech C922 Pro HD Stream webcam. So for the first broadcast with the webcam, we're going to go to Brands Hatch. So, what did we learn about the focus in week one? Understeer. What else did we learn? Understeer. So it's really just, I think, well, understeer one. The second thing we learned is very small gas tank. Uh, so again, we'll do Brands Hatch. We'll talk about, I can better now as I talk with my hands and show you with the wheel, probably give you a little more information about what I'm doing to get this car around Bathurst 12 hours on today. It shows you where my brain is. So like always, I'll run a couple out laps, then I'll do the slow lap turn by turn, point things out. It's not going to be much different than what you've seen, let's say when we were here last in the Hondas, where we did the Indy circuit. But this car does handle a little bit differently. But anyhow, I'm talking too much. Um, the last thing I just want to kind of show is I think I finally got my settings dialed in for what I prefer with the wheel. Let's go to controller. Let's go to advanced X. There we go. So I still have that little bit. I still have that little bit of dead zone. I haven't really touched the dead zones on the steering at all. Uh, Nor and the main adjustment I made here on the brake, and again, gas 0-100 for the braking. I did have to. I think I had the braking of the inside dead zone as far as I think it was like 5 or something like that. And what I was finding at Sebring is like I would barely touch the brake, expecting the car to slow, and it wouldn't. So I moved that to 0. What I did on the other end is I've lowered the dead zone, the outside dead zone to 85. Um, that's just so that I'm not having to get the brakes to the point where they lock. I'm not having to, I still need to put a significant amount of pressure in, but not so much that I feel like I'm gonna like, there's part of me. It's like I know they test these things, but it's like I don't want to have a race. All of a sudden, I hit the brakes. All of a sudden, whatever the spring or the thing that's giving the resistance goes ka-chunk. So I didn't really touch the clutch at all or the handbrake. Force feedback. The the other adjustment then again is I put it at I'm running 540 steering rotation, so that hasn't changed. And I don't think we're gonna go off of that at all. And then I didn't set I left that at default. So that's what I'm running. Again, everybody, we're all gonna tune that to our own preferences. But let's go ahead and let's do the test drive and run a couple laps. All right, coming up here, Paddock Hill Bend. Heavy braking, third gear. Let the car roll in. Notice I'm really not having to put a lot of steering in. Heading up to Druids. Braking, I find a little bit earlier than what I've done in previous cars. Second gear. And yep, this is why we practice. So yeah, this is not the ideal line through that turn in. All right, way late of a turn in. Cold tires. We'll do a second out lap or second fast lap here. It's the new camera. It's all the pressure of like, oh my god, they can actually now see what I'm doing. Fourth gear here, brake at 2, down to third, carrying a little too much speed. Wow, I'm really sucking right now. I always talk about how I can't talk and drive at the same time. I guess I can't talk, drive, and be on camera at the same time. So let's just finish this lap and we'll try one more at speed. Hit the rev limiter there. All right, let's make this a good lap. A little bit wide there. That's going to be a problem during the race. Still have to get the feel for that. All right. A little bit more brakes this time. Still pushing a little bit on exit. It just didn't get enough speed scrubbed. A bit wide there, but not too bad. Actually, I think we can do this in third. This is definitely second. You can wind that out third. Okay, so that's kind of what a lap looks like. Let me break down kind of what I'm looking for here. Again, the brakes aren't great on this car. So, nah, we'll leave it off. So, actually, I want to back it up here and try and get up here with a little bit of speed. The braking for Paddock Hill Bend, it's what I'm kind of using as a reference. Again, braking line's pretty accurate. You can brake a little bit into the red, but you really got to stand on it. I'm braking right about where, and here, let me turn the other controller on so I can use the stick. So right about where that, where the pit lane wall, that Armco ends, is right about where I'm getting on the brakes. Fourth gear, down to third. And usually what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get, and I'll start bringing the car over a little bit. What I'm trying to do is get as much speed scrubbed and down to third. And I think I'm usually trying to get off the brakes by the time we hit the blend line from pit out. And if I've done it right on the turn in, again, it's letting the car do the work. It should just ideally just get that nice line through here, a little bit of a late apex. You can probably start to roll back into the throttle here. Let the car come out to the left side. You can get on the curbing here a little bit. It's not going to upset the car too much. And to get out of Paddock Hill Bend and then to start heading up the hill towards Druids. In the past, for slower cars, and I think for like when we were here in the CRX, I was telling you guys you can pretty much, much slower car, much better brakes. You could brake pretty much at where the orange coloring is on the arm cut there on the left is right about there is where you're going on the brakes. With this car, for the speed we're carrying, the brakes aren't as efficient. I'm still going to look for it, but as I kind of go through and I run multiple laps, I'll start to get into a rhythm of I'll be able to judge where I need to brake in relation to how close I am to that. It's like if I'm not braking until I get to it, that's way too late. But it's somewhere between, if I had to look at it, it's going to be between the end of that tire bundle right there, and that orange and the orange coloring on the arm coat. So it's probably somewhere I'm going to kind of gauge. Is it halfway between the two, timing wise? Is it, is it a third of the way? I think 2/3 is probably a little too close as well. But this is one that I would say it's going to take quite a few laps to get into rhythm to know where you need to brake for here, and you're really going to need to stand on the brakes. Down to second gear. This is also a place where you can see people go. I'd say passing wise, if you're following somebody, look for them to go wide here. Um, so second gear. Again, I will take this car. I think likes this car likes late apexes. So for a lot of these turns, I'm going to probably look for a late apex. It's going to make me get the car turned. It's a later turn in, so might leave me a little bit open on the inside if someone wants to take a look. But if I can get the car rotated, then I've got a straighter line out on that late apex, and it helps counter the amount of push the car has to begin with. So here I might do a late apex out, let it go out to the left side here, up to third gear, bring the car back over, and I'm using. So for this next turn, and we'll see where ultimately I start braking. It's going to be between the one board there, as long as it's there and we don't run it over, and where the starting of the curbing is. So it's probably going to be right as you're getting to that curbing. You're going to want to get on the brakes. I think, and there's going to be quite a few turns here like this, and even at Prague as well. This is going to be a balance thing. It's depending on your driving style, how you prefer to drive. I think you can do this in third gear. It's not so low in the rev range, or even if it gets down into the 3000s, this thing's got so much torque, it shouldn't hurt it too much. It's just about what's the balance of the car. If you leave it in third, you're going to have to use a lot of brakes to get the car slowed down. You're not going to have the gearing to help you get the car slowed down and get some weight on the front tires. I think for me, and I think at least the laps that I've run, I like putting it in second because again, the higher gearing throws that weight forward a little bit. So you get a little bit of gearing assistance helping with the braking, slowing the car down. It gets the car, as you've heard me say it many times before, it gets the car on its toes a little bit more, and I think that helps. Second gear for here for this corner, I think is much better balance wise than trying to do it in third. It'll help get the car into the corner and rotate it out. So again, I'm going to use a little bit of the curbing here and out and up to third. Again, you can use a bit of the curbing here on the outside. I would say in practice, try to not do that so that if you have to use it, then hopefully you're not then going wide and going off and getting time penalties. Coming down the next corner here, this is another one of these. If you look at the track map, it's a decreasing radius corner, and it's not quite 180 degrees. But this one I will set up a little bit wide for. And this one also, early in the race, I'll probably be very, very wide. But as I get to braking, I think I'm doing this in second when I get down through here, is I'll be a bit wide. And what I'm trying to do is, and I'm going to look to see if there's something I can spot. Kind of where the cones are, but I do want to late apex it here, and you want to hug it. I think if you're here as you're rolling back into the throttle, you should be pretty good. Then the car's just going to drift out on its own up to third, and you want to apex late enough so that so you don't get shot across the track on the exit. But again, keep it to the right side, minimize your steering, let the car drift over to the left as you head down the back straight. Let's go up to fourth gear. Braking here for braking boards. It is the 2 board that I'm using, and if the 2 board gets run over during the race, you can kind of see that there's again orange coated Armco. You can kind of gauge there, but this is a little bit heavier braking than you think. So I'm down to third, and I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to time my turn in as far as getting off the brakes and turning in. Right as I'm getting past the one, it might be halfway between the one and the next orange colored Armco there. But again, third gear. If I've done it right, the car, you should just be able to turn the car in and just let it naturally go. You can get on the curbing here a little bit. Again, late apex so that you can roll back into the throttle and not have to worry about the understeer on acceleration shooting you off the track. So third gear here. This is the next corner that I think you can do in third or second. I think I like second better. I'm braking. I'm looking for that orange Armco there on the right side as kind of as my main reference point. If I can't see the braking line, um, you have to brake for this corner. At least for me, I'm having to brake for this corner a lot earlier than I think I need to. So for me, it's third gear, brake down to second, and ideally, if you get the turn in right, you can use a bit of this curbing here and roll back to the throttle. Up to third gear, and maybe up to fourth. You might wind out the third. So this next corner is probably the other one that's going to catch a lot of us out as far as going wide on exit. So what I'm looking for as far as braking, again, for whatever reason, at least early on in my own practice, I'm finding I'm having to brake much earlier for this corner than I have in other cars. So I'm actually looking for that two board, and if the two board gets run over, it's then you can reference the orange Armco there, just kind of in relation to where the rest of it is. So I'm using that. And I think you can do this in third gear. I might, on the opening laps, drop it to second just until I get comfortable. But I think this one is better in third. If you can get your braking down, and again, if you get the turn in right, you can use a bit of that inside curbing. The car will shoot out here to the left side, start bringing it back over to the right. And then braking for this next corner. This is definitely second gear corner, and I'm braking right about the one. And again, the nice thing is, and it's going to sound like a broken record, if the braking board goes bye-bye, look for that orange, look for orange. That'll help you, as far as reference. So again, this is definitely a second gear corner. And again, I'll try and do this as a late turn in or late apex so I can get a more straight line exit out. Up to second, up to third. You can wind this out to third, or you can bring it to fourth. But regardless, I'm braking right as I get to kind of where, and I think this is on the Indy course, this is Surtees, um, right where, the Indy course rejoins the main circuit. So I'm braking right about here. And then the turn in is just kind of as you get to the end of that road. Third gear, again, late turn in, late apex, roll back into the throttle, take advantage of the understeer. It's going to push out wide here and then just bring it back across. I think the braking line, the suggested line is pretty accurate there. And then as you're getting on the front straight, just, slowly let the car drift back here to the left. And that'll set you up for, braking into Paddock Hill Bend. So that's kind of a rough, just kind of what I'm looking for. Again, I admittedly I only ran 8 laps in this car on Thursday night just to find out how much fuel it would take to go on empty. So let's finish this. Let's finish this and get into the race itself. And yes, I'm going to finish the test drive session. Now, when I did the laps, I actually used the controller. So we'll see if I can get to the same, because I was in I think the low 126s. We'll see if we can get down there. But for the race setup, it's going to be the same as I had the previous one until I can figure out if there's we'll see how the balance of the AI are. So it's still going to have the, let me just make sure, limit driver aggression, good, it is still off. So again, still going to be racing. First group that goes out, still going to be Forza Group Rally, which is what this car is in, but they just drive it much slower than I do. Bucket 2, we'll do Forza GT, so that'll give cars closer to, I think, to the pace I can run. I think I'm still a little bit quicker. And then the RXCs, which should be much quicker than me here. It's just a question of how quick will they work traffic. So let's go ahead and get this started. Start race. And since I have a minute, now I'm running based off my initial time. When I kind of figure out the laps for these races, usually I'll do a couple laps, figure out what my lap time is, and then I just take that in seconds, divide that into 2100, which is 35 minutes. And that usually gives me a rough idea of what the lap count could be. That doesn't factor in time in pits or how many pits we have to do. And it came out, I think, I'm going to run about 26 laps. Fuel mileage wise, this car, at least for me, I'm only getting about 8 before it sputters, and it sputters in the final turn. So I think, depending on what Matt decides he wants to do, I think this should be about 26 to 28 laps. And if it is that long, it is definitely a three stopper. I don't think it's worth trying to do a fuel save to make it a two stop race. But again, usually that's the decision that Matt will make based off practice on Tuesday, Wednesdays. Um, so if you show up to practice, you can help him make that decision. Let's get going here. So yeah, cold tire is going to just do it in second this time. So yeah, the braking line starts to go red right as you get to the end of the tire bundles. So second gear, maybe I just let it wind up in second. Still pushing a little bit there. So I need to brake a little bit more next time. Gear. I don't know what the... Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm braking. Okay, so forget what I said about I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing the previous lap. I'm braking much earlier for the last turn than I said. So let's revisit that here in a second. Yeah, I got to work on that. And it's very easy to... I'm going to try a different line next time, because I think the sooner you can get over to the left side, the easier that corner is, and the less likely that you're going to go off when you're braking. But again, you're kind of... Yeah, I'm giving you the track guide here, and I'm kind of walking you through it, but there's a lot of this I'm still sorting out as well. So there's third gear. So you can do that one in third pretty comfortably. I just got to be careful I don't go too wide there. All right, so let's talk about where I'm actually braking for the last corner. Yeah, so it's at the signs. It's about a car length before the before where the Indy circuit rejoins. So not braking enough there. Yeah, I still got to work on that. Because again, it's like I don't want to get, because I'm trying to get the car slowed down. The last thing I want to have happen is to get tires dropped on the curbing or even worse into the grass on the outside, because that will not be fun. So braking's better, still turning a little early. Doing it wrong. The pressures of being on camera, that's what it is. Let's get a little more aggressive here. That's better. So yeah, so I'm getting to the brakes just before the Armco ends at pit out, but I want to get my braking done as I get to the blend line for pit exit. Give myself a little bit of room on the right side so I don't go off. Slidey, slidey, slidey. We'll see where we're at here on fuel at the end of lap 4. Okay, so now I'm turning in too early. That's another one. Ah! Another one. I have to adjust my line there a little bit so that I'm not. As you can see, it's like the line I'm taking, it's putting me too close to the left side at the crest of the hill. Was that a radical in the wall? I wonder if he'll be there when we get back. It looked like he was trying to go into the pits and just nosed it into the tire barriers. Let's see if I can do this right this time. Probably a little quicker there. Oh, rev limit. Okay, that's not the ideal line. Still letting the car drift too wide to the left. Okay, so yeah. Looking at the boards, getting off the brakes by the access road, I think there. A little bit too early on the apex there. I think I would learn how to take that correctly by now. I'm not sure if I think my preference is still to be a little bit wider on turn-in there than what the braking line's suggesting. Okay, so the next time I do this turn, just past the one board, you'll see then on the left side, you'll see the other, kind of the end of the Armco barrier that's painted orange, and I'm going off. Can't talk and drive. That's where I'm turning in. Where are we on fuel? End of lap 6. So it should be about 25% left. Yep. So taking the angle out, that's part of the problem. So I think next time I get out of Druids, I'm actually going to try getting the car over to the right sooner instead of letting the natural kink of the road kind of bring me back across like this. See if that sets up for that turn better. There we go. I got to brake a little bit sooner. And we will box this lap because I don't think I can do. Well, I know I can't do it. I'm going to run out of fuel probably here on the last lap. There's only like 12 seconds. Yeah. I can do. No, not gonna be able to do the crossover on exit. But again, well, actually, I say this car is not division spec, so I think I'm running significantly more horsepower and better tires. All right, so pit entry. Probably gonna try that in second next time. Again, it's that whole thing of if second gear gets the car a little more on its toes on the fronts, and gets it rotated into the corner better. So pit entry, just keep it to the inside in third. Take out the tire barriers. Don't hit the wall. I'm stuck. And there's pit entry. I've got 2 more attempts at it. So, yeah. Now what I'm going to try and do with this car. So 8 laps is about all I can do. Just running normally, and that's even with a couple of offs. Um, you can fuel save in Forza, though. Again, it's like if we're going to run this race and it's going to be a 3-stop mandatory 3 stops, it's not going to matter. But when you exit pit lane, second gear, just quick brake as you cross the blend line, and then you're back out. But fuel save in Forza, the trick is always you're going to sacrifice lap time to achieve it. The question is do you make up for that by not having to pit? And if you're breaking even, then it's not worth trying to fuel save. But what you would do is, so let's say coming down the backstretch here, the easiest way is it's just like you hear they do in Formula One or IndyCar like that, is I'll just let off early. And maybe I'll let off a little bit earlier, but that's usually the best way to do it. Short shifting also sometimes helps as well, because then you're not winding the car out in the RPM range. Ooh, somebody hit the tires bad. Wasn't me. Again, you can do it. I don't know with this car how much fuel you would save, and if it would be enough to, take a stop off, make it 1 stop less and not lose any time. So I'd say when in doubt, flat out. A little bit early on the turn in. Use a little bit of the curve there. hopefully catch some of this traffic here soon. Oh, excuse me, new wheel. I don't know as far as what the mic is picking up. You know, one of the things a discussion is kind of like how much steering do I put in, and as you can kind of see, it's like I'm really not putting in too terribly much. At least the way I drive, the style I have, I, it's one of those only put the amount of steering in that I need to, and really just pay attention to, you know, what I'm hearing out of the game, what the wheel is telling me. So at least what I've learned with the Logitech is, you know, that the buzzing that you may be hearing, that that's I'm interpreting that as the tires are just kind of right at their, you know, right at their edge of adhesion. That any more steering, it's just gonna, you can hear that high pitched whine. That's you're well past the slip angle of the tire. So for me, when I start getting that initial little bit of, you know, feeling in the wheel, you know, I'm just use the brakes. I'm gonna modulate the throttle just to kind of keep the car balanced there. And it's just the habit that I've got into. It's what works for me. I know a few of you like really cranking a lot of wheel, which can be useful. I think it just ends up wearing your fronts out a little bit more than you need to. Okay. I know I've got to pit at lap 16. Ooh, almost timed that badly. That turn's finally getting much better. Excuse me. Whoa! Okay, he was a little bit slower than I was expecting. We're going to get him on the crossover here in the exit. Brake a little bit earlier. Set wide. And I think I like, it's weird. I think I like second there. Again, it's that whole thing. The car just feels like it turns in a little bit better. second gear's much nicer through there. A little bit too much speed in. Ah, come on. I'm just being silly. I think I was going to make contact no matter which side I tried to pass him on, just based on where I was catching him. But it's the AI. I think second gear's good there. I'm going to try this in third again. And I put it in second anyway. Yeah, we'll make it. That still carried a little too much speed in. I'm braking much earlier than I thought I would be braking there. All right, don't hit the wall, don't hit the wall, hit the tires. Okay, pit stop 2 of 3. So I think for this last one, I'll run 4. Just do 4 laps and 4 laps, just to get the required 3 in. Again, I don't think it's possible to fuel saving get, say, 9 laps on a tank, and save any time versus just doing 8 and doing an extra pit. At second gear. You can kind of see, as you start to head down the hill, you can kind of see in the braking line there for that left-hander that it goes red initially, then there's like a little splotch of yellow. That's a good target to look for on the road as far as like additional braking point. Again, since it's the suggested line, it's going to vary depending on how much speed you have, but it may help you figure out where you need to brake there. Like second through there. cut a little too much. Yeah, I got in there and then realized that it's like, nope, nope, that's not going to make that work. Hopefully he didn't slam the door too hard on me. I said I was going to split this in 4 and 4. No, I'll pit at lap 20. A bit late there. Second, I knew that the tires were going on the left side. It just gave it a little extra quick brake just to help get the car slowed down. All right, let's see if I can set a clean one here. There's a mid 26 in here. And of course, I'm hitting lap traffic. You can see it's like I'm staying a little bit wide, a little bit wider than what the line suggests there. Sorry, I can't talk, I'm in traffic. We're going to pit this lap anyway, so hopefully I can come back out and yeah, that outside curving, if you're trying to get back to full throttle, will upset the car a little bit. A little too wide there. Yeah, so don't do what I did on the first pit or the third pit. Do what I did on the second pit. At least as far as getting into the pit lane. I'm sure one of us is going to end up perpendicular there. All right. Second gear. Brake, just keep it to the inside. No one's behind me. Okay, there we go. Nice and relaxed. Slow at the apex there. That's okay. It's still the outlap, but looks like unless there's lane stuff happening, I might. Excuse me. I might have a couple clean laps here. It's a little wide. Yeah, I'm braking way before, or at least before the end of the pit lane arm cut. It's getting the right sides on the curbing under braking. That's not good. A little late there. Yeah, that's better. They're meaning to do that the whole race, is bring the car over to the right side sooner so that I'm a little bit straighter setting up for that corner. And what, that's turn 3? A little bit early. That's about as close as you want to cut that. I'm going way wide. limiter. I think I've got the rhythm down. I'm going to try those couple of turns in third. See how they feel. So I'm releasing the brake for that corner right about where the that last black sign on the right side is. Well, this lap's not going to be. This lap's definitely going to be dirty, but let's just see if in theory there's any more time out there. Going dangerously wide on the turn in there. Excuse me, pardon me. Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be contact in the hairpin there, Druids. Yeah, I mean, third will work fine in those corners as long as you get your braking done. But if you need a little help second, just drop it to second. You'll get a little bit of that extra braking help from the gear, from the high gear. And that's Brands Hatch. Wow, 40 minutes? Yeah, I think we're gonna be, So I seriously underestimated lap count. So that was 26 laps, took about 40 minutes. So, and so again, so it might be under 24 laps, might be closer to 22. Um, so again, I think Matt will make that decision. So again, it's about 8 laps on fuel. So hopefully, if it's under 24 laps, or it'll be a two-stop race. If we just if he decides to do more than that, then we'll be up to a three-stopper, because I think the idea is to really just take trying to do fuel strategy out of it, or setting up a situation where we're all pitting on the same lap. So yeah, so probably based off of now that race time, let's see, minute and a half, 3 minutes. Yeah, it's sorry, just laughing as my idiot AI driver decided to ram another Subaru off the track. So yeah, it could be 22 laps maybe. So again, your mileage may vary, but anyhow, that's Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. Actually, I want to kind of check out on the camera. The one thing that the Xbox settings don't do is it doesn't allow me to look to see how much of a delay is between what the gameplay is doing versus what the camera's showing. So I kind of want to look at that to see if there's any delay or like that, just out of curiosity, and then maybe see if I can tweak that in the settings. But so I'll take a short little break and then come back and do Prague short with the death chicane. So hope you guys having a great Saturday. Talk to you soon. Happy racing. Push the button. And streaming.